Another alternative is the root drench method. This is a treatment that can be performed by a homeowner. There's no licensing or insecticide license that are necessary. This is an effective method for a small tree or certainly an uninfested tree. So if a homeowner is further, say, towards the middle of the village or in the south, and they don't believe their tree is infested, this is something that they can begin to do now, and by the time the beetle gets there, they should have some residual insecticide already in the tree, which should help them. Larger trees may require 2 or more years before this is particularly effective. So for residents who have a tree that's not yet been infested, this is a good thing to start doing now if they choose to save their tree. Again, this should be performed once annually, generally in April or May. We expect our treatment to begin in mid-April this year, the village's treatment. And that's based on when the trees bud out. That's when they start to bring up the most moisture, and then that's when they bring up the most insecticide as well. Again, this would have to be done once annually, although there's, again, some reports that after 6 or 8 years you can begin to cut this type of treatment back to 2 or 3 years as well. This is available to homeowners through building stores and home improvement stores. Bayer Advanced Tree and Shrub is the most popular form of this, and again, there's quite a bit of detail on what products can be used on our website. In summary, we're very pleased with our progress to date and the fact that we've removed only 15 trees out of 545. When you compare that to over 300 private trees in the same area that have been flagged for removal, that's something that I think is quite a phenomenal success so far to date. Frankly, I hadn't expected it to have gone quite so well, and I hope that it continues to be effective for us, because it certainly keeps our costs down quite a bit. We've also observed physical signs of the efficacy of the treatment, including dead beetles underneath the bark of trees that we have been treating, so that would indicate that those trees had been infested and that the beetle or the larva had consumed the insecticide and died. So we're pleased that we've been able to find some physical signs as well. And lastly, continuing academic research indicates that a treatment program is a viable solution for a long-term management of EAB infestation. That's something that's really evolved over the last 3 years. When we first started about that, there was, most of these insecticides were just coming to the market. No one was really entirely sure whether it was snake oil or something that would really be effective, and it's turning out that in our case, seems to be quite effective and certainly saves us a lot of money as well. So I'm pleased with the progress that we've made and the success of our program so far.
Questions?
Yep, Paul, I think when we started, are there any other towns around here that are not doing what we're doing?
Quite a few. In fact, we were one of the few, or probably one of the earliest communities that enacted a treatment program rather than a removal program. Some of the towns that were infested 3 or 4 years before us had removed quite a few ash trees before this treatment protocol had really become even available as a possibility. Many of those communities went through and cut 50% of their ash trees down, and now with the budgetary difficulties that many municipalities have, they haven't been able to replant those. So there's quite a long-term impact in some of those communities. We also have a number of communities that are taking an approach of, we're going to remove it when it's dead, and we're going to leave it up until then, which minimizes the upfront cost, because you wouldn't necessarily have to remove a tree that's infested this year. You could leave it till next year, maybe even the following year, until it was completely dead, but it just continues to provide an environment for the beetle to breed, and is probably likely to cause a ballooning cost as it moves through, and then all of a sudden there's a very large volume of trees that are dead at one time. So there's kind of a variety of approaches that have been taken. I think from the other communities that we've talked to, I think this is the most effective from a cost standpoint, and certainly most effective from an impact standpoint, because we haven't had to remove a lot of large trees in front of people's homes.
Questions? Okay.